Victor, happy Hump Day Wednesday. Isn't that what they call this day?
Yeah, they call it Hump Day. They call it Hump Day.
What's happening?
Not much, man.
Things are good?
Things are good. I was in Canada, eh?
Oh, Canada?
Yeah, in Canada.
Are you allowed to go over there these days?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Whoa. Ease up. We just got started with the broadcast. I was over with the Canadians, the Frenchies.
What were you doing?
Montreal, Quebec. I like to say Quebec. I was doing some trading up there. Good trading. And then we did, Pattison is the, the outdoor billboard company?
Yeah.
Pattison. Like, they're huge.
Yeah.
And so it's the second time I've done trading for them.
Oh, cool.
So that was kind of nice.
To their sales team, I would
To their
assume.
sales team. So it was a great trading. And then after that, went to Minnesota, did an insurance group there.
Nice.
By the way, they had the trading at a golf course, something you might want to consider. It was beautiful.
But I don't golf.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, actually.
It's for the people.
Let's all, let's take these folks over on the golf course, so we can have some mimosas and do a little trading. Who's with me on that?
They're orchid sellers. They don't have time to go golfing. They're supposed to be selling.
True. How you doing, man?
Good. I had a chance. I think I shared in one of my messages that we had our quarterly board review where we present the results of the first quarter to all the big cheeses.
Yeah.
With Pat in the back and Jerry Galoff and Ken Krause.
Do they sit there like this?
No, not like that. But they do sit in the back row. They occupy this back row, and they're always taking notes.
Are they whispering to each other?
Yeah, they do whisper, and it's very very disturbing
It's
for the guy. I get like 10 minutes to stand up there and talk to them and share their story, right? And they start, and you wonder, what are they thinking about? But I stay on track because I just don't even pay attention.
I had
to
a
them
boss that would never sit down. Like he was the president, and he would stand and he would do this. He'd rock.
That drives me crazy.
He'd rock, and then once in a while he'd spike up with a question. You'd answer, and he goes, "All right, continue." And you're like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And everybody's just like a nervous wreck. So yeah.
No, but typically when I talk to groups, where I get to talk to groups, as opposed to these guys, I tell them, shut your iPads down, turn your phones off.
Yeah.
You don't say it to those guys. They're back there with their laptops. I'm like,
You
that's
should.
really rude.
I think you should.
That's really rude.
I
Maybe
think you
will.
should do that.
I only got a couple more shots at him. Maybe I'm going to do that next time.
Say, Pat, put that down.
It's not Pat. It's not Pat. It's one of them other guys that are a little bit of a.
All right.
So good stuff is happening.
Yep.
This company is just smoking again.
Yep.
I did post in the chat. What are you doing for Memorial
Day?
Right. So throw something in there. Mine's pretty simple. I didn't put it in there, but we open up our little lake cottage. I don't want to give anybody this impression. We got this palatial digs. We got a wooden tent that's kind of on Lake Erie that we've had for 40 years.
We got this 10,000 square foot little tent we call home. It's quaint.
We got 5 bedrooms and about 1,200 square feet and bunk beds galore.
Oh, that's
but our family will be up there. All the kids will be there. All the grandkids.
Yeah.
It's kind of the kickoff to
Well,
the summer.
you mentioned you've had this thing for how long now?
45 years.
That's amazing.
Had it before we were married. My wife and I met there.
How did you meet there? Like,
we
before
met-
you were married,
I-
how did you meet
We
at
didn't
the
meet
cabin?
we didn't meet at the cabin. We met at the bar.
Oh,
down the
that was
street
near
from
the cabin.
So yeah, it's a great story. It's really romantic.
Yeah.
I met my wife drinking Miller Lights. But she was drinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
But no, just if you're doing
Put in
something
the chat.
for Memorial
Put in
Day,
the chat.
throw it
What
up
do you
in
do
the chat.
Memorial Day?
The chat last broadcast was kind of lame.
It was lame.
It was lame.
This could be better. This one could be better.
And we can tell you that the chat on the residential side is way better than the commercial
Yeah, we always.
side.
I don't know what is it.
So fill that chat up. We'll fill that chat up.
Yeah.
That's just a shot at you.
I think. What are you doing? Are you just again hanging out at the
Nope.
shack? That's it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the opening weekend.
Yeah.
Just opening it up there. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. Northern Ohio,
Yeah.
Lake Erie, the north shore of our country is
Nice.
it could be hit or miss on Memorial Day
Okay.
in May. With weather and
Yeah.
temperatures. So we've had it where we've been bundled up and rained on, and then we had 80-degree days. So
Nice.
we're hoping
Fingers
for one of those
crossed.
80-degree
Fingers
days.
crossed.
But yeah, just looking forward to seeing all the kids again.
Michael Edwards is spending time with
Yeah.
family, grandkids, barbecue, and pool time.
There
I'm
you
with
go.
you on the pool time.
Outstanding. Who else is out there?
DD, Derek Dixon is saying staycation for me in Vegas.
Nice.
Good place to have a staycation. So
Robert Wood's got a sweet stash, man. Sweet
Does it?
stash.
Does it?
Nadia, I'm not naughty. We're probably going to screw your name up, but
Yeah.
man, I got some intel on you. I was chasing you down last night
Yeah, we were talking
with
about naughty.
with your boss. We're going to celebrate you in a little bit here. So
Was
hang
naughty
on. to your
naughty?
head. Huh?
Is that what we were going to talk about?
No.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Okay, my bad. No,
No,
something
just-
else is going to go on.
You got a great story. We're going to share with the folks in a minute.
We got
There's
Jessica Sachal. Did I get that right, or did I
Brian
screw that up,
Bergeron.
Jessica?
Brian Bergeron is out of the library.
Yeah.
Look at Victor. He doesn't even have his sweater vest on.
Yeah. Good,
What's going on, man?
Brian Sellers, do
B.
some
Sellers,
work. Yeah, he gets
greatest
some work
name
done.
in sales.
Is he on the list? Did he do any numbers?
I don't know. There's Jeff
he probably didn't do
Mossinger. He
anything.
kind of holds all that stuff
Barry
together. I
Barry
think.
Polk looked like he wants to be at Orkin. Like he wants to be on this
Barry
broadcast.
Polk got promoted.
Yeah. Oh, that's why he's smiling.
Oh, Barry
Oh, look at him. That's why he's smiling.
He's a brand spanking new region manager out there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Give it up for Barry.
Well done, man. Well done.
Barry. This
Yeah.
is Ryan Wilkie.
How
Ryan,
did that
good to
happen?
see
Do we have a Barry Polk story? Like, how did it happen? Like, what did he do that was so special?
I think he's just BSing folks like I do.
Yeah, okay. He
I don't know the
said,
story.
Barry, he said, I didn't. I take no credit for that.
There is to date your favorite podcast.
Who's that?
Albert. He's on there. You see Albert?
Where's he at? Where's he at? I don't see him.
He's on page 2.
Albert's amazing.
Yeah.
His mom's more amazing, but he's amazing too.
He still is your favorite. Now we got like 6 or 7 of them in the bank, huh?
You know, I mean, yeah, we did some great podcasts. Gary Katz, pay attention, man. We're trying to get some work done here. Thank
Look
you.
at that.
Okay.
Love it. We got a lot of branches in the house. I love when we're in the branches. Tony's got his gang together. Leah's got a gang together. Michael Smith has a gang together. Who else is in the branch
Is that
together?
Alberta? I can't read the last name. Alicia. He looks serious. Got his vest on.
Adam Humphrey. Will you smile, man?
I take it
Come
that's
on,
a
Adam.
phone call. You're making some deals, right, Alberto? You're getting something going here. All right.
Adam, smile.
Yeah. So cool. All right. This is gonna be good.
What else?
What
we
is
got? Dallas Commercials in the house. Strong. Look at that. Look at that.
I
group.
like Chris. Chris wears the baseball hat. He's got the Orkin hat on. I mean, you got to give him credit for that.
Who else you got?
That's
a lot of
uniform
camera
right there.
shy folks. All right, let's
Yeah,
get going.
let's do it.
Let's share some, I guess, outstanding numbers. And you know I don't watch movies, but Jim Carrey.
How is it that you don't watch movies?
I just don't.
You're on the internet all the time.
But I'm always trying to do. I don't know. I don't watch movies. Don't watch much TV. But I do remember this one Jim Carrey clip where he says, I don't even know the movie, where he goes, it's smoking. And he's got this real dramatic voice, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what movies that's from, but put that in the chat if you know that Jim Carrey line where he says, smoking.
I think it's The Mask.
Is it?
I'm almost sure it's The Mask.
Okay.
Yeah, The
Oh,
Mask.
somebody, Robert Wood
Yeah.
got that. Robert Wood did. So,
Yeah.
and somebody else got it before him. Yeah,
By the way,
Polk.
Jessica Sachow, if I got that right, says Queen Naughty. Get it right. Queen Naughty.
The Queen.
Queen
Amen.
Naughty?
Amen.
Yeah, cool.
But these numbers that we're going to report on for April are smoking. So let's jump into them. Matt, come on
Nice.
over here. Let's
All
talk
right.
about them.
Let's talk
For the
numbers.
month of April, our local commercial sales were up 14% year over year. Victor, that's just crazy. Year to date, our local commercial sales are up 10% year over year. Again, continuing that streak of, I guess month in, month out for probably since COVID, we've been running double-digit local commercial sales increases, and that's just a testament to what these folks are doing. They're just killing it. The big bomb that got dropped last month was a whole bunch of team sales. Victor, our national account team sales, month over month, for the month of April, were up 128%. Not just doubled and then some what we had last year. Just crazy.
That
crazy.
is, yeah, I can't register.
59%. Our team sales are up 59% year over year. Again, this is building on
59%.
59%.
I just want to emphasize 59%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
just
Wow.
crazy. If you're not on this team sales bandwagon, you got to get on it. Reach out to your RSMs, your DSMs, your national account team for this kind of support. Folks, if you're not involved in team sales aggressively, you don't stand that snowball's chance in where of going to President's Club. These folks are clocking sales that are $500,000.
Nice.
Jason Civittoni participated last month in a national account team sale for
Civittoni.
$2.5 million.
Did he?
The Boston Airport. The
Nice.
Boston Airport. You'll
Wow.
see that in next
Wow.
month's numbers.
Nice.
In next month's numbers because they're
Way
starting.
to
That's
go.
already started. Totaling up all the sales, year to date, we're up 16% in all the commercial sales. Again, just phenomenal results. Up 23% year over year for the month. $76 million in commercial sales.
Who
through
are
the
these?
first 4 months.
Who are these people?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
It's these people, right?
Wow.
So what was cool about I've made some jokes
Yeah.
about talking to the big cheeses, but I get to tell this story.
Yeah.
Right? And the guys, like the other brands are like looking at like, how are these working folks doing? And I said, you got to go ask them.
Yeah.
You got to go ask
Those
them.
are fantastic numbers.
And we talk all the time about the comparisons you see when you go around the country.
Yeah, I think because you guys have such good numbers all the time. Like, I'll give you an example of a company that I just worked with about, I'll say 2-3 weeks ago. They had to lower their number because they're just, they had to lower their number because they're just not hitting. And a lot of companies I don't see any of these numbers. I mean, this is just, I don't even know what you guys are doing here. Yeah. And I mean that genuinely. I see some companies just, 5% growth more or less, or they're lowering expectations.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys are doing this is
it's kind of funny you say that because the Rentokil, the big cheese at Rentokil,
Yeah.
Andy Ransom from over in England, he resigned recently, but they had to reduce their projection to Wall Street like 6 months ago or a year ago, and their stock just crashed.
Yeah.
Just
you
went
guys
away.
are gobbling.
So we're punching them in the throat, even though it's not Thursday.
Yeah.
We're getting after them.
Yeah.
And just a really cool place to be. And I think sometimes we get those blinders on.
Yeah.
When we get immune to the performance that's going on. But man, it is something to celebrate. It's
so what was the year over year again?
you
have that?
16% year over year.
Yeah.
Again, on the backs of double-digit increases since COVID.
Yeah.
Since that COVID thing got in the way, because up until then we were running double-digit increases before then, and even during COVID we only had a bit of a blip. We ended up flat in commercial sales to the year prior, when COVID was at its peak.
Yeah.
No companies did that, and again, just a testament to what these folks are doing. The coolest thing about making all them sales
is
they don't mean a lick
if
you don't drive it to the bank,
That's right?
So last month, the month of April, we had a slight miss on our profit plan for the month of about 1.2%.
Oh,
now,
yeah, that's something to complain about.
I mentioned those guys, Kraus and Galoff and Chernowski in the back of the room. Who comes up with a profit plan increase? Richter, our profit plan increase for the month of April was up almost 11% year over year.
Right.
I mean, so they're just loading the wagon on these folks back, and I don't know where these numbers are coming from, but
they're sitting there in judgment, 1% off. I don't know how. Ed, what's
going
on?
No, they're tickled with what's going on at Orkin. I can promise you that. So year to date, we're on profit plan, which always makes for a good story. Our commercial region, our new commercial division, is smoking it. I mean, things are really good right now, and
Love it.
And they continue to be good.
Good for them.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, I mean, they're great numbers.
Yeah.
Great numbers. Well done.
Something for you all to be very proud of. In addition, Victor, to the cool company numbers, we've got a record for April of 27 of our account managers.
Is it a record?
For April, it is.
April it is? Okay.
For April, 27 of our account managers got paid on over $75,000. And just doing simple math here, folks, you get paid on $75,000 worth of business as an Orkin commercial account manager, you're probably knocking down to the neighborhood of $12,000, $15,000 a month. So
nice.
We should do what? Should we take them to the races?
Take them to the races. Let's go.
Let's go to the races. Go to the Derby. betting these guys. These guys kill these videos.
Great numbers. Yeah.
So Ben came in between the
I love
broadcasts
that.
and he popped in. He said,
That's
"What'd you think of the video?" I said, "Man, I loved it."
I loved it.
And so he was from Louisville, and he went to the Derby like 11 years in a row, and he
Yeah.
went to the infield. So I told him my tale of woe about the Derby.
Right.
I've been to the Derby twice when I was a young fella in a Winnebago with a bunch of dudes, and we just hung out down there. I went to the Derby twice, partied in the infield, never saw a horse. 30 years later, my son goes to the Derby and never saw a horse. I high-fived him. Yeah, it's just a big party. If you've not been there, it's really cool to see. But how about these numbers?
I love it.
Look 'em up.
I'm just still trying to get over you going to the Derby
Never
in
saw
a
a horse.
Winnebago.
Oh, they're like we started out in Youngstown, picked up about 5 dudes, went to Columbus, picked up 5 more, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Just a big party.
Gotcha.
Just a big party.
These are impressive. Garrett, the wiffle ball Werfel.
How about the Yinzer from
Dude.
Pittsburgh, man? Just getting after it. He's just
That's $250,000 right there.
yeah.
$250,000. Way to go,
And
Garrett.
you guys that don't know Garrett, Chairman's Club guy last year, he's a 20% commission guy for sure. I don't know. Do some simple math on 254 at 20%. I believe that's a $50,000 monthly paycheck.
That's a nice stack. That's
a
nice
nice
stack.
little stack.
me
Who
see.
else you see there? Alma Gardner.
Well, we got Alma Gardner, Chris Pierce.
Always
West
there.
Coast.
I don't know if Chris is on the broadcast,
Okay.
but his wife Wendy she loves these $100 gift cards. She tells me that all the time. Wendy, she spends them on the grandkids. So Chris, there's
love it.
another one coming your way.
I
Chris,
love
by the way, for you that don't know, I just said use. It's got that
Use
Pittsburgh
don't
thing
know.
blending in.
Yeah.
Is the all-time GOAT for commercial sales at Orkin. I think he's on his 38th consecutive
Okay.
President's Club run right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Who else?
You got Jason Ragusa, Dennis Gansert. Have we seen that name before?
He's another President's Club guy out of Chicago.
Yep.
Not Chicago, where the Pope's from, by the way. The new Pope from Chicago. How about that?
We got Nadi. This is the one where.
Yeah.
Is it Yo?
Nadi,
do I have it right?
Nadi
Yo, like Nadi Yo.
There you go.
Like Nadi Yo. What's
All right,
up?
stop that.
What's up?
So I'm going to tell a story, and because I saw a post that Nadi brought to LinkedIn, and I creep on LinkedIn. You folks that asked me to invite, I don't ever accept because I got too many invites. I just peruse it once in a while.
Okay, peruse is better than creeping on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's probably better term these days.
All right, just go ahead.
But the story ties to LinkedIn, and it's a really cool story.
Okay.
So I reached out to Roy last night. I said, Roy, help me with Nadi. She threw up $100,000, and we got to
Roy
figure
Gonzalez.
Yeah, Roy Gonzalez,
Okay.
the RSM there, and he tells me the story. Nadi came over from Singapore. She was in the pest control business for like 10 years over in Singapore. And
I love Singapore.
And fact check me on this, Nadi, if I'm wrong, but worked over there. And she came over here to the United States a couple of years ago. And believe it or not, she connected with Jordan Bosmany on LinkedIn.
Our guy JB.
Yeah, with Albert, one of the first podcasts, right?
By the way, first indication that Nadia is somewhat smart if she contacted with Jordan Bosmany.
Yeah, so they connected, and the way Roy tells it, Jordan kind of set her up with the folks out on the West Coast, and she comes to work with us. She was
wait a minute. So she contacts
connects with Jordan on LinkedIn.
Did we ever find out how Nadi? How did you connect with Jordan?
On LinkedIn.
Yeah,
on LinkedIn.
But I mean, why Jordan? I mean,
well, because Jordan is very aggressive on LinkedIn. I mean, it's one of his keys.
Nadi,
to
we
success.
want your story.
Yeah,
why are you connected right here?
Nadi, we decided on the last broadcast.
Put it in the chat.
You are going to be Victor's next podcast victim.
So it's one of those. Yeah, we're going to have a talk. We're going to talk. But so go ahead.
All right, let's finish
your
the
version.
story, will you?
Okay.
Why do I bring you here? But no, the story is so cool. So the value of LinkedIn just pays benefits. But the story behind the sale, the 120-some thousand she put up, it's a Cristo Rey Jesuit school out in the Silicon Valley where she works, that she worked with forever. She put a proposal together back in October. Again, she's only been here about a little bit over a year. She put a proposal together for a severe rodent problem that they were having. Their current vendor couldn't handle, right? And they just couldn't handle it. She put it together in October. Roy said she diligently followed up, continuous contact. Finally got the business. They did a fumigation. The rodents were so bad in this place that they had to fumigate it to get the control at this high school. And then we've got the recurring pest control and the story that Roy tells, and I'm going to put it in the bank, Nadi, that you're going to close that extra $45,000 and reinstalling the insulation that they had to pull out to do.
Don't screw it up,
do
Nadi.
the cleanup. But no, just a cool story, and just tying it back to what goes on here. The kids the young senior children that are here that help support our call center here are from the Cristo Rey School here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And there's 5 of them, and they just graduated, and they're always here, and they help us. They'll kind of hold this thing together. You see them in there; they come dressed in their uniforms. It's just cool. It's like their work day, when they're here, and they rotate through. So just a cool story. And Nadi, we are going to get you on a podcast with Victor to explain your whole journey. I think it'll be super cool to hear. Who else?
I've been to Singapore a couple of times. I actually like it. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Nice.
Gorgeous place. Very, very nice. Very clean.
There you go.
I think the joke is, Nadi, you tell me if I'm wrong, that Singapore is a fine city because they would fine you for a lot of things. See? They would fine you for a lot of things.
Amen.
Don't walk on the grass. Do not chew gum. That whole thing. So, yeah.
Who else? I got Vivian Brown, another GOAT, another 25-time President's Club winner out of D.C.
God, Robert Fairchild. That sounds elegant.
Amen.
Yeah, Robert Fairchild.
My boy Brian Clark out of Youngstown. He's always there, always there.
Shout out to, let me see, some Chicago boys here. Matt Meyer, obviously Sean. Is it Saccone?
Yeah, I think that's,
Saccone?
I think that's it, yeah. Jacob Pine's a new name to me out of Fort Lauderdale. Okay. And just an outstanding
These are amazing numbers, though. I mean, just amazing numbers.
And what's cool, you go East Coast, West Coast, North Coast, South Coast, all across the board, Miami to Seattle, all
Someone
that kind of stuff.
Sevrock.
What else we got there?
That's it. Nadi will be P Club. That's President Club this year.
There you go.
Oh, man. All bets on Nadi. Make it, though. No pressure, Nadi. No pressure.
No pressure.
Make it happen.
So let's move on. So I want to talk some content.
Let's do it.
And I want to talk commercial content. I want to talk specifically about, some of the, you mentioned I consume a lot of content. I came across something that was probably 4 or 5 years old at least from Jeb Blunt, the author of Fanatical Prospecting, who I think, you and I have had, you know him very well.
Yep.
We've had conversations about Fanatical Prospecting. In my belief, it's the best
It's a great
prospecting book for B2B.
Great book.
For B2B.
Yeah.
But yeah, this clip that he put out, it came across as, the pipeline. He always talks about pipeline. So talk a little bit about Jeb's thoughts on pipeline, and then we'll tie it all in together what I want to talk about.
So Jeb Blunt, if you don't know who Jeb Blunt is, good friend of mine. We've known each other for 10, 15 years. He has a book called Fanatical Prospecting. Well, he has several books, but his most popular book is called Fanatical Prospecting. His statement is that pipe is life. The pipeline is life. And if you don't keep your pipeline full, your funnel, people coming in, leads, then obviously you're not going to do a lot of selling. And one of the things I like about Jeb is that, I've seen him do this live where people said, well, I just can't get in touch with somebody. And in the audience, he'll say, well, let's call him right now. And he'll do actually live calls. And so his whole thing is, how do we get more people into the actual pipeline? Because again, it isn't so much closing deals. Sometimes it's just opening more. So it's not that we have a closing problem. We have an opening as far as more relationship. So whether it's referrals, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. How do we get more people into the funnel, into our pipeline, to make sure that we're always busy and we're always active?
Yeah, and the one thing I would recommend, a lot of AI conversations are going around, and I do want to recommend this. It's a lengthy podcast, but it's a podcast that Victor and Jeb did together.
Oh my God, we argued on that one, I think.
Yeah, and I even
argued on it.
So it was like an hour and a half long, but I mean, it's a great listen as you're driving. Where they in the complete opposite ends of AI, but it just talks about what makes you successful. And you can tell that you guys are friendly.
Yeah, it was an aggressive
kind of back and forth.
But I think we were like, part of it was also like, challenging belief systems. Yeah. Like he had his belief system, I had mine, and I think it was tough, but it was also honest, I thought.
And that's the kind of stuff that really intrigues me when I'm trying to consume content. I like to see differing opinions. I look at a whole bunch of different stuff, and I thought it was really interesting. So we'll send that out. I'll send a link out in one of the nightly messages to that. It's worth the listen. But as I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about all the sales that these folks have been making, right? I'm thinking like, all right, so I wanted to dust off, kind of an old mindset that I've had forever and a day, and try to put a little new spin on it and kind of share that, because I think I'm convinced that the only reason that people fail in commercial sales at Orkin, the only reason, is you don't get in front of enough folks, you don't open enough doors. And I've always struggled with why we don't take better advantage of the current customer base that we have and build off of that for referrals and places to go and all that kind of thing. I think it's such a great resource that I want to talk about and walk you through just a couple of slides that really drive home the fact that, okay, congrats, you've made a sale. Now, off of that sale, let's build that pipeline.
Yes.
Let's go get the next one. So Matt, throw this first couple slides up. So again, you made the sale. What's next? You made all these sales over the last 4 months. What's next? I would encourage you to do this. I want you to control the start process. Whatever the policy is in your branch on how the start gets conveyed back to the customer, keep some ownership in that. Keep some ownership in that. If you're not allowed to call and schedule that, there are 400 branches in Orkin. That seems to me that there's 400 ways that starts get scheduled. If you don't have the authority to schedule the start from the customer, then figure out how to make sure that you stay in contact with that customer. So I would ask you to do this. Get involved in the start. Have a conversation with the pros before they go out to do the start. And by gosh, if you can be there, be there. It's so important if you can be there to be there. And if you can't be there, Victor, I think the second most important thing to do is to certainly call. And I do this exercise all the time when I'm live with classes, asking people, hey, did you have a start done yesterday? How did it go? And it comes back, basically they say, well, it went pretty well. I say, how do you know? I talk to the tech. I encourage you, the day that start is done, if you can't be there, call that customer. Call the pro first. Hey, Victor, you get that start done? Yeah, man, everything go good. And call that customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, this is Ed. Saw the fellows were out, the ladies were out today to do the start. Did it go well, right? Everything go the way we talked about. Boom, you got that done.
Yep.
At that point in time, you set the next contact. You want to take this one sale you worked your tail off to get and turn it into a whole bunch more. And I think a lot of it starts there. So the next step in this process is the first regular service. Maybe the start wasn't done by the regular pro that's going to continue to service the place every week or every month. You want to make sure that you call that customer and say, hey, I saw Victor was out for the very first regular service. How'd that go? And you track all this stuff in your CRM, so it's automatic. You wake up in the morning and say, oh, I got to call Victor. His start was done. His start was done yesterday. His start was done today. Or his first service was done. And then when you make that call, confirm the 60-day follow-up, right? Yep. The one that we're required to do. So this is where I want to kind of blend a little bit more into this and talk about, the 60-day follow-up that we're required to do, contractually, but more importantly, maybe even expand it into a quality assurance visit or a customer concern visit. So open your minds to taking that book of business that we have. Maybe it's one you just sold. Maybe it's been one that's been on the books for 30 years. Maybe it's a national account that we're servicing, and schedule a fresh approach to those. So you pick up the phone, you confirm the appointment, you go out and you go on the premise of a quality assurance visit, talk to the pro before you go. Hey, I'm going out to visit ABC Company, Victor. Anything going on I should be aware of before I go out there?
Right.
Talk to the admin, make sure they're caught up on their bill, blah, 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 all that stuff. So you work through that, and then you go do the inspection. You show up on time, you do a brief interview with them. How's it going? Use the QA form, do the darndest inspection, that killer inspection, and certainly document everything with your BizSuite, draw a graph, take pictures, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
Here's where it gets a little different, right? Sit them down for their finding summary, just like you would on a brand new lead or a brand new first-time appointment. Sit them down, talk about that. And then this is the transition where I want to bring up mastering the upsell.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I am 100% convinced, you can slide from the slides, Matt, but I'm 100% convinced that I think every one of our account managers, if we do this right, you could sell $20,000, $25,000 a month in business and services to current customers without ever cold calling a single person.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that's the way you go about life, but I'm convinced you can do that if you do it the right way. What typically happens is we just kind of half bake it and we just wing it. Talk about mastering the upsell, the book that you wrote that I think it just ties into this whole conversation.
Yeah. So I want to get to this part of the conversation where I was talking to a company last week. Won't give you the company name. What was interesting, he said, Victor, we sell. He admitted it. This is like the VP says, our products are a commodity. He said that. He says, our products are commodity. What we have, they have. And then he says, if I ask my people why we're different, they'll say service. But then if you ask another competitor what's their differentiator, they're going to say service. And what he was saying is, he says, what we're finding is it's in the subtleties. And it's kind of what you're highlighting, that we kind of go, yeah. But no, it's not yeah. It's that call after the inspection, right? After the start, right? It's the call to set up the next call. It's the check-in, send them a video, handwritten letter, whatever. All these little things are becoming the new differentiators because nobody else is doing them anymore, Ed. So everybody's moving away from that. So I think we need to get back to that, which is why I love what you said. Now, I'm mastering the upsell. This in the book, Mastering the Upsell, I talked about if you just focused on existing customers, you can increase your sales by up to 30%. Now, when I say that, people go, again, yeah. I'm like, no, really focus on that. You can increase your sales by up to 30%. But for us as a business, our cost of sales go down.
For sure.
Because there's not a lot of effort. They're already our customers, and it's the easiest layup. It blows my mind how we don't take advantage of that. I can't tell you how many companies I talk to, and I'm talking to the VP of sales, and what's your upsell strategy? Do you have that documented? Well, yeah, kind of. To me, that signals what? No, you don't.
Right.
And it's how do we measure, and I always ask the question, how do you measure customer penetration? Yeah. Like, what's the wallet share of what we can sell them? So, we had the conversation, like if I asked you, Ed, how many different products can I sell into one commercial company? Let's just, I don't know, restaurant, warehouse, whatever it may be. What would be a number of products we could sell into one?
Yeah, and the back, it just breaks a bit.
Yeah.
That's my worry. I was in a new sales class 2 weeks ago, and they're talking about all these services, and these folks are like deer in the headlights,
Right.
We got like 25 things we can sell into a business, right?
Right.
And it can get, I guess, daunting even for me. And you think about all the new service offerings we've got here recently, right? Some of this rodent repellent stuff that just caught fire. Some of these new bird services we've got, some of these scent services, all these things, even as simple as mosquito services. I would be willing to bet today, right now, that 50% of our commercial customers have no idea that we offer mosquito services.
No awareness.
No awareness, because we haven't gone out, visited these customers, and told them about it. I had the national account team in a couple of weeks ago, and I said, are you pushing ancillary services? And someone say, well, I got it all in the proposal, inside the premier proposal, it's got all those offerings, but nobody's promoting them, nobody's talking about them. We're dependent on the customers. So going back and visiting these customers, be it somebody you just sold that didn't buy all the pieces of the bundle, or what I think are these golden customers that we haven't visited in a couple of years and done a graph and done the whole thing and done the whole process the right way and offered mosquito service, right? Think about the time of year we're in. Mosquitoes are going to go crazy. Small flies are going to go crazy. But we got to go out and we got to talk to these customers.
I got to. What kills me sometimes is that we have so many products to sell.
Yeah.
We have so many products to sell a customer that back in the day when I sold, this would excite me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, there's always a reason to go back. I got something else. Yeah. And so I don't know why people don't see it this way. If I got something I know you haven't bought, I'm going back to talk to you. I got something else. Yeah. and then find a way to get into that conversation.
Yeah, and I think, and even think about the national account customers. Go walk into a national account and do a quality, call them up and say, I want to do a quality assurance inspection. I see how we're doing. We've been servicing this Macy's for 20 years, but nobody's walked in and told them everything else we could buy. And a lot of times those people have that power to buy on site in that location. They might not have to get approval through national accounts, but we aren't serving all our wares up to all these customers. And again, they'll throw dirt on me before I give up on the fact that, I could sell we could all sell $25,000 a month just in going out and visiting these customers. Now, you don't pollute your day and go out and see 10 of them in a day.
Right.
You put a couple in, you get a good jumping off point, and then you take it from there.
Why do you think, there's some folks out there who don't have a full pipeline?
I think it's the activity. And I think when you go out and you start visiting customers and visiting national account team sale opportunities, scheduling those, you're in your market, you're staying busy.
Right.
I wouldn't make the accusation that everybody sits to wait for the phone to ring, because that's not fair to them.
Right.
But I think we're chasing the wrong stuff sometimes. We'll go out. I quit going out with account managers that when I showed up at their branch, I said, "What are we doing today, Bubba?" Well, we're going to go. I haven't been up to Newcastle, Pennsylvania in about 3 months. We're going to go up there and knock on doors. I'm not going.
Right.
I'm not going to be your chauffeur. I'm not going there. Find me 2 current customers, and we'll start there.
Right.
Find me 2 national account team customers, and we'll start there.
Right.
You got to have a map. You got to have a plan. I get crazy passionate about this because it's so close to me. But again, sliding back to the slides, but that master and the upsell, we try to wing it too often times. Go out and do some quality assurance visits on current customers. Well, some of these folks don't even pick up the phone and call them.
Right.
They just show up and say, I'm here to do a visit. It's got to be planned. You got to be with the right people. But back to the slide, this transition, when you approach them on the quality assurance visit, Victor, let's talk about this a little bit. You went there, you told them you're going to come do a quality assurance visit. Don't throw your sales bag out and don't walk in with it, right?
Right.
You got to kind of check the temperature, right?
Sure.
You don't want to be what? Caught selling. You get caught selling, you're done. Yeah, that son of a gun, he just came here to sell me more stuff.
Right.
He didn't do that. But you think about that. I'd be remiss. I noticed a couple of things on my inspection that maybe we can help you with. Can I share that with you? Gauge the temperature. Should you strike now, or and this probably isn't a good time for you. Looks like you're pretty busy. How about if I come back tomorrow? Would that be better for you to share some of the findings I found?
Yeah.
Position yourself to where you're going out and visiting these customers.
Yeah. I told you a story about a sales guy. I knew his name was David Shoemaker.
Yeah.
He looked like Where's Waldo without the hat.
Yeah.
And I went on a ride along with him, Ed, and one of the things his customer told me when he walked out, I said, why is it that you like this guy so much? Because if you saw him face value, you go, this guy can't be a star performer because he's quiet, mild manner, doesn't spike, nowhere near us. And he was just like this. And the customer said, in so many words, we like him because he comes here. He doesn't try to sell us, but he's always sharing what's new, what's going on, and he just listens. And I just thought, I was kind of dumbfounded by that when I first heard it, because he sells like this. He never spikes. He just goes in and says, we got some new stuff here. Just wanted to show you this. No pressure. And then he would make recommendations. As we talked about, the data shows it's okay to make a recommendation. Customers want that. But I think he sold from that core that I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah.
You got a company here, you got a business here. I'm just trying to help you. I got some products and services that I think could help you. And just sell with that ethos, I guess it's the best way of putting it.
And you think about all the new offerings that we've launched. I mean, Albert's been here for 15, 20 years, right? The new products that do all Albert's customers probably know, but do they know about the rodent repellents?
Yeah.
Do they know about the scent services? Have you taken the time to visit these customers and say, hey, I swung by today to do the quality assurance visit. I'd like to spend a few minutes introducing you to one of the new offerings we've got.
Yep.
In fact, you're such a valuable customer to us. I would like you to try this scent service program for 30 days and give me your feedback on it. You're that important to customer.
Yeah.
Put that darn thing in there, and they're not taking it out.
Right.
They're not taking it out. Hold the customer up on a pedestal and say, Victor, you're such a good customer. I want you to try this out. We really want your feedback on it.
Absolutely.
Put the darn thing in there, and you'll need.
9 out of 10 are going to say yes.
Yeah.
Sure, put it in. By the way, Albert writes, for learning the product, start with core offerings, then branch out from there. The land and expand philosophy.
Amen.
Then look for seasonal-based opportunities to bring up the new ones.
Yeah, and think about
like
the
Albert.
seasonal-based
I still like
opportunities,
Albert.
right?
Yeah.
He's
all right.
gold,
He's all right.
man. He's pure gold. We're walking into mosquito season. We're walking into fly season. You can get ahead of small fly season. You go out and visit these customers. They probably had small fly problems last year in May or June or July. Hey, let's get ahead of it. So Tim, our technician, our working pro, isn't going to be chasing this, reactively. You can get proactive, make sure it doesn't become a problem for your guests. Getting after it that way, chasing that kind of business. I just want to throw a couple more slides up too. So you work through the transition, you figure out your way there. And referrals, obviously you want to work referrals at that point in time. You've earned the right at that point in time, Victor, to ask for a referral.
Yes.
If they're happy, you've done all these steps, you've sent the thank you card, you've followed up after the service. Hey, this is kind of how I cut my teeth. This is what I do for a living. Anybody that could take advantage of our services? Who's next door? I've been trying to get a hold of them. Do you have any other locations that we can help you with? Next one is on your way out the door. So let's say you go out and you do one of these call assurance visits. You do one of these customer concern visits, and you can't sell them a lick. They're not buying nothing. They're not buying nothing, right? They're not giving you a referral. You're still walking out the door. They're still a happy customer. Less than 1% of our commercial customers cancel each month, folks. Our customers love our pros. They're going to tell you stories about them. So you walk out next door. All else has failed. You walk out next door. This is Ed Donahue 101 from the day I was peddling commercial business for a living. Walk next door, point at your Orkin diamond, say, obviously, Mr. Customer, I'm from Orkin. I just left Victor next door. He is tickled to death with the service that Tim's delivering for them. Quite frankly, I'm just kind of curious why you and I, same nonverbals, why you and I aren't doing business. And don't say another word.
It's a great line,
you don't
man.
need to
It's
say
a great
anything
line.
more.
It's a great line.
They're going to tell you, well, I've had the same guy for 5 years. You tell me that, I'm getting an appointment with you. Victor, that's the very reason you and I should sit for a while.
Exactly.
Do you have time now, or would you like me to come back at a more convenient time? Whatever they tell you, they're giving you the map on how to sell to them. They're giving you the map on why they don't have Orkin as a customer.
Yep.
Right?
Every objection is the very reason why we should meet.
And use some humor.
Now's not a good time.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we should.
And use some humor. Get some humor in your game. Have some fun with this.
Yeah, I agree.
Vic, obviously, I'm from Orkin. They're tickled to death next door with the service they're doing. And frankly, I'm surprised. I'm kind of shocked. You haven't called us yet. So I figured I better just show up on your door and introduce you to Tim.
I love that.
Why aren't you doing business with us? Cut to the chase. Talk more about telling them.
No, I think you told them. I think that what I love about that is that you don't take yourself as seriously, and you can just and just that little simple question, the way you phrased it, Ed, is beautiful. I can't add to that.
They've never not responded.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You guys never came by. Whatever they say, you now have a map.
Yeah.
Versus walking up to the door. I'm the Orkin rep.
Yeah.
Here's my card. I'd love to give you a free inspection. Free nothing. Get out of here, you sales schlepper. I don't want none of that.
Everybody does that, right?
Yeah. And it's funny when you sit in these rooms. Like we were waiting on FedEx. We were we were pitching FedEx a couple of weeks ago, and there you could see we were on wait because the other knuckleheads Ecolab was in front of us, and they went overtime. So we're sitting out in the hallway, and there were like 2 or 3 salespeople that came in and cold called it, and I'm dying laughing. I'm like pointing to Sherman Hampton. I'm like, Sherman, these guys are amateurs.
Yeah.
I'm Ed with Orkin. I'd like to give you. Who do I talk to that buys pest control? I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's your line.
This is where we're at now.
Yeah,
this is what you got. So I don't know.
Right.
A little bit off schedule.
All right, wait a minute. Michael Edward has some here. He says, when you buy or look at a home, oftentimes you notice the unique faucets, maybe the special ceiling fans, special doors, all the extra touches that you see. That is true.
Nice.
And then he says, our sales plan should have the same approach where they see extra services you can provide and the special touches. And again, sometimes it's just about looking around, opening your eyes, and noticing the awareness piece.
And again, being different.
Yeah.
Sending a thank you card. When you turn a contract in, if you're not handwriting a thank you card to that customer thanking them, you're cheating yourself from an opportunity to separate. Because you don't want to make one sale.
Yeah.
You got to find places to go. You take that one sale, and this is hack from Frank Bombera, a longtime Orkin salesman that's way since retired.
Who was it?
Frank Bombera up in Connecticut. And he said, you give me one sale, I'll make 3 more.
Yeah.
And this is how he did it.
Yeah.
But again, like your guy you mentioned,
he
didn't even know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the important thing is you just can't wing this. This is practice.
Yeah.
So I'll send this deck out, or maybe I'll even send the video out, in one of the nightly notes that will give you some idea on how to do this. Because you can't, I was going to say a bad word, you can't half bake it.
Right.
You got to do it the right way for it to be successful.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you say, oh, that didn't work. I can't sell anything to current customers.
Yeah.
No, you're not doing it right.
How many tough questions. Like how many visits would you recommend, or you did back in the day? Like, how many visits a day to locations would you do to existing customers?
I don't want to rain on any of the RSM's parades, but my mind on commercial, I want to generate 2 proposals a day as a commercial salesman. I want to ask 2 people for the money.
Okay.
And I want to have 4 appointments if I can. I want to have 4 sits with people that maybe 2 of those are making the proposal.
Right.
But at the same time, talking about that pipeline, I've always been a proponent of finding 10 new places. Maybe it's walking next door a couple of times, but putting 10 new pieces into my pipe
Right.
that helped me kind of start to nurture it. Because if you think about that, if you do that, if you go do some quality assurance visits and you're in a neighborhood, you can go to the 2 places next door, 2 places across the street. There's 4 you can put in your CRM and start chasing.
Gotcha.
Once you have a contact, right? So,
Got
so just think about that. That would be the activity I would recommend.
Okay.
And I know every RSM is a little bit different on how they want their team. And quite frankly, Victor, what it becomes, it becomes a personal track of what you need to do.
Right.
You know, Chris Pierce doesn't need to do much cold calling. Albert does still cold call, but he'll even be the first to admit that, you know, he's got such a reputation in the market that, you know, folks come to him, but he's worked at that.
Yeah.
You know, he's worked at that. So I don't know if that just made a mess of everything. Free nothing, get out of here. There you go, Albert. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so just some housekeeping, then we'll get out of here. We went a little bit over time. So a couple of things. We're talking about these new service offerings. All this stuff that we've got now, folks, get familiar with it. We've talked about that on numerous broadcasts, but we've got a new one coming out. On June 4th, there's going to be a broadcast put on by the commercial division. That, again, there are these 2-part broadcasts. The first part is a technical instruction on what you can sell and an offering that we typically don't have a lot of success with right now. And you've got Tom, you got the bird guy coming in, the expert, sitting with, I think he sat with Greg Saladino and maybe Brian Brockman, talking about the success they're having with these bird programs down in the Florida market. So you've got that. That's the first half of the broadcast. The second half of the broadcast is where Rick Jordan, one of our national account reps, comes in and he speaks with Omnia, which is a GPO very similar to Sourcewell, with all these contact lists and all these hunting licenses. And we've got the expert from Omnia here with Rick in studio, so you'll see all that. And man, just tune in, grab those lists, start sorting them. Again, there are all those lists that can be sorted in a click, by zip code, by territory. You got all the great hunting opportunities. The other thing I would just leave you with is this mosquito and fly stuff. Come on. We are embarrassing ourselves on the commercial mosquito efforts, right? The people want this business. Again, I would test you to go out and talk to all your customers, and I would bet you that more than half of them don't know that we have it. And I think it's such an opportunity. And get ahead of the fly season. Don't wait till the flies are flying to start talking about flies, because it's too late, because you just handicapped your pro on fixing a problem. So
love it. Don't wait till the flies are flying.
Yeah, don't wait till the flies are flying. I don't think I have anything else other than just
great
a huge
job,
thanks.
great numbers, man.
Yeah,
just great
just
numbers.
Just killer. Get after it, and we wish you well. We'll see you next month, and maybe we'll report back on another double-digit commercial growth.
Let's do it.
Let's
All
get
right.
out of here. Thank you.
Take care, guys.